quite a few people in already.
Oh, wow, that's good.
It's just connecting through now. We are live on YouTube. We're live already. I'll just mute my, yeah, we're live already.
Wow, that's good. What, I'm hearing like an echo in the background.
Yeah, I just had to mute mine. I've got YouTube open because I like to watch the chat. And it was me, so that was me. So I'm just going to move my screen across. Okay. So hi, everyone. We've got quite a few people in the chat already. So I just want to welcome my special guest tonight, Michelle Thompson. Some of you will have seen her before with Jeff Dougherty on his show. I just want to briefly introduce Michelle. She's a life coach, and I want to get this right, that's why I'm reading it. Certified life coach and board certified advanced clinical. I'm getting tongue-tied tonight already.
That's okay.
Yeah. I'm all hot. Before I started, I was getting really hot. It was strange.
That's funny.
So, yeah, welcome, Michelle. And we've been trying to connect for a while, but things were just happening, and then it's all come together.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you with us. And I know a few people have seen you with Jeff. So, so hi to everyone in the chat. I won't call out everybody's names individually, because otherwise we'll be here. So thank you. And I have put Michelle's YouTube channel, her website, and her email. I'll just get this over now in the description. So if anybody wants to contact her or connect with her or work with her, then you know exactly where to go. So the first thing I want to ask, thank you, Ian. First thing I wanted to ask Michelle was, how did you get started with, because obviously the topic tonight is manifestation, which we're going to get into, but I just wanted to know a bit more about Michelle's background, how she got into what she's doing now, how long she's been doing it, things like that.
Okay, so how I actually got into it, and I think if you've ever watched the show that I did with him, it's kind of a long story, but I'm going to kind of try to give the short version of it. So for a really long time, I was a graphic artist. I was in marketing, and I just kept on hearing people tell me all the time that I missed my calling. And that was something they kept on telling me. And it's like, oh, you should have been a counselor. You should have been a counselor. You know, you missed your calling. And, you know, I always thought of myself as an artist. So that was like, oh, no, I want to be an artist. That's my calling, you know. And maybe it was at that time. But, yeah, you know, the honest to God truth is with all that experience, it's really helped me to really make my business better. And because I worked for advertising agencies, and I, you know, worked in marketing field. And so there was a lot of knowledge that I was able to kind of bring to the table. So that was a really good thing. So how did I get started? Well, originally I did this whole little goofy thing where I got really pissed off and I went outside and screamed at the gods and, you know, stomped my foot and, you know, and had a few little choice words to say. And so basically I heard this, and it was all because some man broke up with me, you know. And I got my feelings hurt because I thought he was the guy. And so I was very upset, and I was just like, what? I thought this is what you told me, you know? And so I heard this voice say, go meditate. So I did. And when I started to meditate, this very strange experience happened where this being actually showed up, and he actually looked like a human being. I mean, he walked into my bedroom, he was standing at the door. And I said, who are you? And he goes, oh, you can see me. And I said, yes. And he goes, aren't you scared? And I said, no. And he goes, why not? And I said, oh, I got this place on lockdown. I got crystals over here and all this other stuff, you know. And he just kind of laughed, sat on the bed, and told me that he had a message for me, and he wanted me to write a book about love. And that really pissed me off because I was like, I just broke up with somebody and can't seem to get this love thing down, and you want me to do this, so how's that possible? And he just said, Michelle, just write the book and everything you need is going to come to you. And so I sat down the next day, determined that I was going to listen, and started typing away. And I did that for a couple of days or so. And suddenly my computer just totally blew up. And not blew up like up in smokes, but it like did this whole like reboot thing just on its own. It like turned off, turned back on, and then wiped out the whole computer all on its own. So I felt like that was sort of like a message. You're on the wrong track, because I thought, well, I'll write about self-love. Well, at the time I still didn't know what self-love was. So apparently I was writing it wrong. So I got upset again, and I used to have temper tantrums. And so I went back outside, stared at the stars, looked up there, stomped my foot again, said, hey, I'm not going to write another word until you bring me a real life person, not a meditation, not a being that disappears as I'm trying to ask him questions. I want a real live person that is like an angelic being put in a body, or an ancient soul that has direct conversations with you, or some sort of saint or something. And, but not just somebody, just anybody who is intuitive. I want like somebody with special gifts. 6 months later, I met him. And so when I met him, I actually met him in a crystal store when I was taking my sister to go find some crystals, because she felt like she needed some extra protection or something to help her. And I took her to this particular store because there was a healer there that I knew, who I was friends with, that I thought might be able to help her, but he wasn't there. And when I asked Joel, who worked at the store at the time, where he was, he said, oh, he's not here, but we have this guy. And just out of respect, I'm not going to name his name. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, he said, this guy. And so I walked over there, and there's this guy in this black, like linen long robe with a hood, and beads, and he wasn't wearing the hood. It was just kind of in the back. And he, he just kind of does this thing where he like bows to me. And I was like, okay, and I kind of put my hand out like this to shake his hand. And I said, can I talk to you? And he goes, come in the room. I went in there, and I said, look, my sister's going through some challenges. I was, Harry usually does this healing thing, and he's really good, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, I'm already there. I'm picking up all the energy about her husband. I'm with him right now, blah, blah, blah. And he starts like reading him like a book. And I was like, wow, you're really good. Let me get my sister. So I grabbed her. We sat in the room. He cracked her head open, sat there and played with it on the table. And literally, and I'm being kind of metaphoric here, but it was like the most bizarre experience we ever had. I mean, and he was like literally reading her mind and reading her soul and everything. It was just crazy. So then, of course, I got totally nervous, and I was like, oh, he can read minds. Oh my God, don't read mind. Don't read mind. Don't think, Michelle, don't think, Michelle, don't think, And so anyways, I got his phone number. After we left, my sister and I sat in the car for a little while, like totally freaked out, because we didn't understand what just happened. And I ended up sending him a text message telling him, thank you, Jen was doing better. And he said, tell her to come in Friday. If she can't come, you come. So I went thinking I was going to talk about her to help her. And he started in on me. And I was like, wait a second, I thought we were talking about her. And he goes, oh, we are. I'm with Jenny right now. And I'm like, and he used to say weird stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'm totally confused. And before I knew it, he reeled it back into me, and he asked me why I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And I kept on diverting the subject and acted like I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And he basically said, okay, do I have to spell it out for you? And he said, okay, the way that I remember it is you stomped your foot, you screamed out to the gods. This is what happened. And those who know all told me to talk to you. So here I am. And He goes, and if you would have asked a little nicer, you would have gotten somebody a little nicer. But instead, yeah, that's what he said. He goes, but instead, me. And when he did that, like his eyes like changed colors. He smiled real big and his eyes turned like pitch black. And I was like, oh, yeah, it was kind of scary, but sort of like intriguing at the same time. So I basically started working with him, and before I knew it, I started on this whole spiritual path. I was studying with him, and then suddenly I was like taking classes here and taking classes there. I studied with a shaman. I took Reiki classes. That led me into becoming a hypnotherapist, and then I became a life coach, and I just kept on taking classes. I became like this sponge for knowledge, and that's kind of how it ended up happening. And then I decided that I was going to just start working on the weekends and kind of slowly build my business. But the company I was working for shut down like that one day. He just said, okay, we're shutting down. And that was it. So I had gone to see this guy like the week before. And he said, okay, next week's going to be really challenging for you. And it's going to test you. You're being tested. So let's see how you do. And I was like, okay. So I went back into him after. I said, well, you're right. And he goes, uh-huh. And I go, well, job's gone. And he goes, well, maybe it's time. And I said, yeah, but I don't have any clients. And he goes, go get them. I said, I don't have an office. He goes, go get one. and so that's what happened. I had 0 clients. And I just went and got an office, and I decorated it and painted it and put crystals all in it, and, just did, and sat there and waited, and then suddenly opportunities for me to find clients started popping up. And before I knew it, I was locked in. So I've been doing it now for about 10 years.
That's come up 3 times, I think, the last few days. What you just said, that you had 0 clients. This is what happened with me. And then I was reading about another lady who has she teaches tarot and everything. We all started with 0 clients from ground zero. And because I feel a lot of people these days, they want to jump. They just want to go straight to the top without doing the groundwork. Mm-hmm. But, it's like, sometimes you have to start from ground zero and build yourself up and your client base. So Michelle's been going like 10 years. I've been going about 8. So it's a similar, just a bit less for me. But like it's having the guts to go starting from nothing is not, it takes courage, I think.
It takes a lot of courage.
A lot of courage.
And I was scared. I mean, I really was. There was a part of me that had no fear, and there was another part of me that was scared. But then I was kind of like, I just, everything seemed to be taken care of for me. Like, I moved in with my mom. I put my stuff in storage. I started working back for Estee Lauder part-time on the weekends. And so I was able to pay my basic bills, by doing that, and, cell phone and, stuff like that, rent. So it wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was something to at least, pay for that and still be able to work on this business. And I had a lot of learning to do the first year, because there were things that I knew how to do, and there was a lot of things that I didn't know how to do. So I did a lot of like, I need to learn how to do this. I need to learn how to do this. And I would just start focusing on, I need help. And then suddenly I'm just go, I need help. And then suddenly somebody would appear, and which kind of leads us into this whole manifesting conversation, because suddenly I started noticing that I was able to get this manifesting thing down. I worked on it for a while, and I actually even had a manifesting group that we worked together, and started noticing that with these elements of us doing it together, we started making things happen really fast. And we kind of put our heads together and tried several different things. And we found that when we worked together, it was really good. When a couple of these people ended up getting busy with other things in their life, and one of them moved, and that kind of stuff, I just decided that I had enough knowledge that I was going to go ahead and start putting some of this stuff into practice. And went into a deep meditation, asked for answers for, to be able to do this by myself at the same level. What other tools that I need? And all this, I just got this download of information, and I started practicing it, and I started teaching it. When I started teaching it, and I put that in my book as well, in my book called You Can Be Awesome. It's like somewhere in the middle part of the book. It's, like chapter 5 or 6, something like that. And where I start getting into manifestation, because I have people work on clearing their minds and getting all the negativity out first, because that's the hardest part. And so in that chapter, I talk about how to do it. But it's really difficult for most people that I found to actually explore this and do it the way that it really makes, to be a super duper manifester, to be able to say, this is what I want, and then it shows up a day, 2, 3 days later, instead of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm manifesting, I'm working on manifesting, I'm doing my vision board, and, and years later, it's like, no, let's make this happen now. We put timelines down. With all my clients, I say, okay, let's find something we're going to manifest. We're doing manifesting now. So, and we put dates, times, everything. We lock it down, and very specific about what it is we're manifesting, and we make it happen.
Do you think it's important to put a time to it? Do you always put a time to yours, if you don't mind me asking?
Not with me anymore, because I feel like it's limiting, because if you say, I need this amount of money by the end of the month, that's what you're going to get. On
you might be able to get
the
quicker.
31st of the month, the money shows up, and that's stressful. Yeah. So it's like, as you start putting worry and fear goes into it. But sometimes these timelines are necessary, because people have to have, like I was telling you a story about one of my clients who's in sales, and she needed a really big commission check, and she wanted a $5,000 commission check on top of her salary. And I said, well, what is it going to take? How much do you have to sell? So we sat down and we put the numbers and crunched them and said, okay, you get this percentage when you hit this number, and this percentage when you hit that number. Let's just round it all up and say, okay, you have to sell 130,000 this month. So there had to be a timeline in that. Yeah. Because it was based on a commission structure. Yeah. So I did tell her that even up until the hour before, don't stress out, because somebody will call you an hour before and they will place a $10,000 order. Now, at the time, I didn't realize I was intuitively projecting, and because that's exactly what happened. She hit 120, and she's like, 120 is good. I can deal with 120. And then she remembered me saying that, and she goes, nope, go back. And she put her head right back into it, and she's like, no, we're going to do 130, we're going to hit that 130. And boom, she got a phone call, and somebody placed a $10,000 order. So,
which is awesome.
Yeah, I've got tons of stories like that with my clients. I have one where a client said she was real upset because she's an engineer, and she worked for a small engineering firm, and they only had one office here in Houston, on one office period. And she had been there since the beginning of her career. She didn't want to leave because she would have to start over and where she was at. And they promised her that the guy that was the project manager for the company said, he's going to retire, and as soon as he retires, you're going to get the position. So she was promised that. And so basically what happened is she started dating this guy that she worked with, and she married him and had a baby. In the process, the guy retires, and they hired somebody else. And she was really upset. And they said the reason they hired somebody else was because you can't manage your husband. So she was doomed, you know. She was just like, I'm never going to get promoted, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, go work for another company. She goes, I don't want to work for another company. I'll start all over and start this whole process. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's just not what I want. And I said, okay, well, let's manifest it. And she goes, I don't understand. And I go, well, you don't have to understand. Just follow the instructions. I'll tell you what to do and we'll make it happen. So I think that she followed the instructions because it made her feel good, but she didn't really understand what she was doing, because most people, when they really understand it, they question it a lot, you know? Yeah. And, or if they have some sort of previous knowledge and they'll argue with you about it, you know, oh, well, I understand it like this. I read this book. I read The Secret. I read The Law of Attraction and Michelle, da, 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 you know?
Yeah.
So with her having a lack of knowledge and really not understanding was actually beneficial, because she could just follow the instructions. So she did. She comes into my office one day. She disappeared for about 2 weeks. I didn't know why. And suddenly she comes back and she goes, I have to talk to you. And I go, okay, what's going on? I haven't seen you for a little while. And she goes, you wouldn't believe what happened. And I go, well, tell me. She goes, Michelle, I swear to God, I think I'm magic. And I go, she goes, everything I write down, it comes true. And I said, really? And she goes, I do it exactly how you said. And boom, it just happens. And I said, what happened? And she goes, well, you know how I told you that I could never get promoted because, you know, my husband, it works for the company. Well, they decided to open up another office, a satellite office in the Woodlands, and they made me project manager.
Awesome.
And she goes, it's 5 minutes from my house. I get to pick up my daughter from daycare. I get to spend more time with her. I don't have that hour commute. She goes, the whole thing ended up working out.
Yeah, and she's not managing her husband anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, stuff like that happens. So it's really cool how it all works. So anyways, that's kind of part of the process. So you have any questions before I get into explaining it?
Yeah, I was going to say, has anybody in the chat got any questions? But I've got, so does this work for anything like love? I mean, I don't know, it might not work for a particular person, but love, a job, money, car, home, whatever. Does it work on everything, do you think?
I haven't seen anything that it doesn't work on so far. So,
cool.
You know, I think that if you put your mind into it, then you can make it happen. I think the biggest problem that most people don't realize is they don't realize how powerful they are, and the energy that's out there that they can tap into. And once you realize that that's there for you to tap into, you know, it's kind of like you're living in the dark and suddenly you don't realize that there's light bulbs and there's a light switch and all you have to do, you know, is flip it on. Or people have never seen internet before and they don't realize, they're like, oh, I never get to speak to my relatives. They live so far away. They're in a different country, blah, blah. And you're like, as soon as you tell them, hey, you know, there's the internet. And people don't realize that there's this energy force that is so powerful and so great that if you just know all the, you know, the code to get in, that you can make it happen. And it's literally like dialing a code. And if you follow the steps and you do the process, you can make it happen. And so far, I haven't seen anything that there's an exception for.
Okay, I've just seen a couple of questions from Cynthia in the chat. One she said was, is it good to do it on a full moon? But I'm going to add to that, does it really matter whether it's a full moon or not, or does that intensify it?
I don't really know a lot about astrology and that kind of thing. I know a little bit about numerology and a tiny bit, enough about astrology that I can go, hey, what's your sign? Hey,
yeah.
Hey, I'm a Leo. You're an Aries. That's my best, you know, that kind of thing. That's about as much as I know. I don't really understand when somebody says, oh, Mercury's in retrograde. I go Google it on the internet. So I don't know anything about that to be able to answer that question. I've found that people do it all the time and it really doesn't have to do with any kind of
planning
or anything.
There's a theory that doing it on a full moon is great for manifestation, but again, it could just be it's your intention you're putting into it because you believe on the full moon it has more power.
Well, I think that if you believe that this remote control has power, then it's going to have power.
Yeah.
Okay? So whatever it is that you put your intention into is what you're going to, you know, so if that's your belief and like, and you're like Wiccan, or you have some sort of like really high level understanding of astrology and that kind of stuff, then if you don't do it on a full moon, it may not happen for you because that's your belief.
Yeah.
So
a lot of it's about belief, I think, isn't it?
Well, belief is a huge thing. Yeah. It's part of the process. So
yeah. And also she said but you might answer this when you explain it, whether you need to write it down over and over again.
So yes. Okay. So all right. So I had this discussion with Travis.
Oh yeah, I still got to check
I told you Travis and I are friends. And Travis Thorpe, he was on Jeff's show, and he's Wiccan, and he believes in manifesting and letting go and forget about it. And I'm not under the same belief structure. So for me, if I let it go, it may not show up. But then again, sometimes I've found that with me, when I do my intention, it's so powerful that I don't really need, because I've kind of gotten from, you know, I teach people like how to add and subtract. And I'm at the level of like calculus and geometry and, you know, whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's probably happening so quick for you. You don't need to keep writing it down.
I don't need to sit there and do that. But for people that are beginners, for them to train their mind and to get their mind into a certain space, and for them to actually see it happen, they need to do it that way in the beginning until you're able to master your skills. So
yeah, because I've seen a theory out there doing it 5 days and writing the actual thing 55 times each day for 5 days. That's a lot of putting it out there, but there's different theories, but we're looking at your model of manifestation. But
yeah, if there's does anybody have any more questions on before I explain it?
Okay. Does anyone have any more questions for Michelle's going to explain the process? I was trying to keep an eye out, but without.
That's okay. I can go ahead and start.
Yeah, if I see anything, then I'll let you know, but I'll let you go into.
Okay. So basically, I'm going to put my glasses on because I put a few notes up here to make sure I covered everything. Okay. So there's four elements or 4 parts that are really important. Okay. And that's thought, emotion, belief, and action. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't have one, for example, a lot of times, you know, like when the internet first came out and emails started, not everybody believed that if you click on this thing, it's going to send, oh, really? And they see it happen, and it happens, you know? So sometimes that is really to really be able to master it. So what I do is I create what I call tricks to bring all those pieces together. Okay. So, because it's kind of hard to get all of those together. Okay. Yeah. So the first one is thought. Okay. So you come up with your thought. So, we want to manifest, so for instance, okay, so let's say hypothetically, so I usually see my clients for about 4 months, okay, 3 to 4 months, and then I have to start all over again. So a lot of times I'll get them all lined up, and for the next 3 or 4 months, I know that I'm going to have, you know, a certain amount of clients. I can only take a certain amount for 4 months, okay? But as people start trickling out and they're finishing up, then it's time to regenerate some more people. So what I do is I put the thought out. Okay. So the thought is more clients. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's the first thing. So then belief kicks in, and you have to believe, just like your person, do you believe it's in the full moon or whatever your belief structure is the thing that you've got to apply. So you have to know, it's kind of like ordering a pizza. Okay. If you place an order, you order a pizza, you don't sit there and question whether or not the pizza is going to show up. You chill, you wait, you sit back, you know it's going to show up. You're sitting there thinking about being hungry. You're thinking about how happy you're going to be about that pizza. You're looking at your clock a couple of times going, okay, they said 45 minutes. Pizza should be arriving now. But you don't doubt that the pizza is going to show up. Okay.
Yeah.
You might be thinking about your hunger, but you're not thinking about, oh, what if the pizza doesn't show up? And that kind of thing. Okay. So it requires belief. So then the next thing is emotion. Okay. You want to apply emotion into it. So for instance, like with me, I want new clients. So then I will sit in a state of gratefulness and I'll think about, how happy I am to get those clients. And I'm so excited. And yes, all those new clients, I'm so grateful, or whatever. Okay. And I bring the emotion into it about how excited I am about this particular thing. Okay. And then, so belief, so we got thought, emotion, belief, and then action. Action is something a lot of people don't do. And you have to, so for instance, a lot of people think, oh, well, why should I put action into it if I'm manifesting? Because then that's you being in control of it. Well, the action can be as simple as writing. So that's why I have people write, because that's a show of action. There has to be some sort of movement into it, to whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're looking for a job, then you're Googling jobs. If you're looking for a house, then you're on har.com or Zilly.com or something like that. You're, like right now, we're looking for a house. So my action that I'm doing is constantly looking at houses, online. I haven't gone to look at any yet, but I'm constantly looking at it because I'm keeping that energy into that action. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got to find some form of action, because a lot of people that do this, they create a vision board, they think about it, and then they believe it's going to happen, or they want to believe it's going to happen. That's a key mistake. Mm. And then it may, but it happens too far down the road.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not putting in those extra little things. So one of the things that I find is that a lot of people have a really hard time with generating emotion about something. And a lot of people have a hard time with belief. So what I do is, part of the reason they have a hard time with emotion and the belief is because they've got too much negative shit going on in their head. So what I do is I work them through shifting their mindset, and we spend about 4 to 5 weeks on releasing all the negativity and releasing all the ways that you think about yourself, because those negative thoughts will kind of interfere with the manifestation.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm trying to manifest love, for example, and I'm constantly thinking about this person hurt me, or this person did this, or, I guess I'm doomed, but I'm going to create a vision board, and I'm going to work on this. I'm going to make this happen. But then you're sitting here thinking about the sadness of being alone. So you're you're going against the curve here. And that's why it's not happening, is because the emotion you're putting into this thought always ends up getting stopped with a negative emotion.
I guess it's like putting your foot on the pedal of a car, then putting your foot on the brake, gas, brake. I guess it's like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
forward, but then you're putting your foot on the brake.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere if you're constantly going gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake. You're going nowhere, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's a great analogy, actually. So what I do is I had somebody come into me, and he told me, he goes, okay, I believe in the law of attraction. I really do. And I've been able to manifest a few things, but I really want to manifest the drumming career, and it's not happening, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I said, okay, well, we're going to start with removing all negative thoughts. We're going to reprogram your mind. You're going to walk out of this with a different mindset. You're going to be a completely different person. He goes, okay, that's all great and everything, but I want to manifest. And I said, the reason you can't manifest is because you have too many negative thoughts. And his negative thoughts were about his brother, about his friends, about his kids, about his wife, about his job. I mean, and he was constantly bouncing around all these negative thoughts. And sometimes the negative thoughts, and that's another thing. People say, well, I'm not negative about trying to manifest a new car. I want that new car. But yet you're negative about the fact that somebody's annoyed with you because they have to drive you somewhere, or you're negative because your friends aren't there for you when you don't have a car, or you're negative about this job that you have, you know. So all those things, that negative stuff will stop you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Because I can think of a few examples myself. When you talk about emotion, the things that have manifested for me the quickest have been, I might have just said it out loud with, I want to, way back before, I wanted to work with this lady who worked on TV. And I was like, I really want to work with this lady one day. I don't know how, but I said it out loud with passion. It wasn't all long-winded. And I must have believed in it because I didn't have any negative beliefs about it. And I just let it go. And me and her ended up working together on this TV show. And, you know, she's the same life path numbers. She was the one that said to me, you should be doing what I'm doing. And every time I said out loud, I really want to work with this person. Like, I'd love to know them. It's happened. And there was action taken, but not direct, like, right, I'm going to track her down and I'm going to make sure it happens. It didn't happen that way.
Right, exactly, because you didn't have the negative thoughts that you know, oh, well, what if she doesn't like me? What if da-da-da?
Yeah,
what if I don't know how to reach her? What if I don't, you know, what if you didn't think that? You were just,
didn't hang out.
And sometimes I've found that I manifest things like that, like you're talking about, because I don't have the other things around the thought, like, and then boom, it shows up and I go, oh shit, I just manifested that. Like, I'll just threw out there, like, on my book, okay, I was like, you know, somebody made a comment about, you know, I published it before it was edited. I edited it 5 times. And somebody bought the book and said, Michelle, you really should get an editor. I mean, it's well written, but there's a few little things that are little minor details that you might want to have an editor fix. And I said, you know what, you're right. And I said, you know what, you're right. I need to get an editor. And I went, I need to find an editor. And then a client came in, I was talking and I said, yeah, I'm in the process of finding an editor. I said, it'll happen. And I just kind of like let it go. And next thing I know, a client comes in and I gave her a copy of the book because I usually, when I'm working with somebody, I want them to have something that they can like go back to. So I give them a copy and she said, Michelle, you know, my husband's an editor. And I go, really? And she goes, you want to do some trade? And I was like, yeah, you know, and it happened so quickly. It was like, without me even, it was like, this guy made the comment. I go, yeah, that's what I need. And I went, and I said it with sort of like a lot of passion, like a lot of emotion. But I've also learned to be I found that being more charismatic, a lot more passionate, things happen a lot faster for me. Okay. Yeah. Which is part of the trick that I was there's a couple little tricks that you can do. So if you start off with, you know, working on your mindset, getting rid of the negative thoughts. So I usually have people step through this process of, you know, reframing all their negative thoughts and writing it daily and doing this, like repeating to themselves the things that are been reframed about every single negative thought they have. And then your mind starts automatically catching you because you're writing it every day. So during the day, when you're not writing it, your mind will just automatically go, oh no, you da 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 da, because you're saying it so often, it starts getting in your head. Okay. So you become more cognitive of that thought. So you catch yourself before it comes to fruition. And so then when we do that for about 30 days, then we step into the manifestation thing. So, but during that time, I'm teaching them how to become grateful. Like, so I'll have them like text me every day. So you have to text me 3 grateful things every single day. So I'm working on them looking at the positive things and being happy about the things that come into their life. They can't ever repeat it. You know, they have to like always like sit there and search for good things. So look at these things. And when you start focusing on good things and happy things, you find that you become happier about the things, the little things in your life.
Yeah.
So it starts bumping up your energy. Okay. So you start focusing on the good things in your life. You start looking at yourself from a different perspective. You start letting go of the negative things in your life. And so you're able to step into a higher level of energy. And I do a lot of little things. Like I do drumming exercises. We get in the room, put a lot of music on, dance around, scream real loud, you know, do all kinds of stuff. So I'm showing them how to pump up that energy, you know, like don't be embarrassed. Everybody wants to be embarrassed. Like I'll put on that song, Pharrell Williams, Happy.
Happy, yeah.
Yes. And then I'm like dancing around going, I'm happy, you know, and they're just like looking at me like, okay, I can't do that. And I go, yes, you can, get up.
That gets me every time, that song. That one, yeah, it never fails to get my spirits lifted. Mm-hmm. It's music that I usually put on actually to get me, you know, if I'm feeling a bit.
It does. I can't sit still when I hear it. I mean, I'm constantly like, you know, like, you know, and so, and just me, you know, teaching this, I've found that my own spirit has, you know, or spirits or whatever you want to call it, my energy level has raised. And so I'm constantly in a pretty upbeat, kind of happy mode all the time. And I'm constantly encouraging that with other people. So I'm like, come on, let's get happy, you know? And so they can't just sit in my office. I mean, they got about 2 weeks to cry and complain. And that's it. After that is no more. It's just gonna happen. And so I'm constantly like jumping into other areas to get them, you know, happier. And so that happiness factor is a really big part. So you've got to have that emotion of positive energy happening. So then like I'll say, think of something super happy that makes you giggle, laugh, you know, whatever. So like so I have a new addition, a dog in my family, and she's turned out to be quite the character. And the longer that she's with us, we were sort of watching her until we found her a home. But, you know, she's kind of gotten settled in with us, and she's really turned out to be quite the character. And she's really funny, and she's super smart. So we went on this hike today. Mm-hmm. And we took the dogs out and we took them off their leashes so that they could explore nature and everything. And, you know, I was like, Shane, they really need to have quality of life, you know? I mean, I treat them like little humans, you know? So we took them on this trail and, you know, and Chelsea's so happy. I mean, she's just running and she runs real far ahead and then she stops and she waits like, come on, guys, catch up, you know? And so like, when we had gone far enough and we had gone on, I mean, it was like we were wondering if we were going to be able to find our way back, you know, because the trails were like looping around and everything. And so as we're heading back, there's a side trail that, you know, because we were on this outside area by the bayou and we had to go into the forestish woods or whatever to get back, and I didn't remember where it was, and I didn't even see it coming up, but she darts ahead and she starts turning and goes down it, and I'm like, well, I guess this is our turn. And so we went down that path, and then another split came and she took a left, and I go, I guess we're going left, and she brought us right back to the car. And it was really interesting how smart she was. I mean, so it got to a point where Shane's like, take us home, Chelsea, you know, take us to the car. And she was just like, come on, follow me. I got this. And she's like, it's super funny. Shane had a Snapple bottle, and we've discovered that like whatever, he has in his hand, it seems like he'll take it and kind of do this, and she starts barking. So he had a snap. I'll put it on Facebook because I thought it was really funny. She was like barking at him because he just put it in front of her, and she'd bark, 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 and she'd run around the house and jump on the furniture. And so when I think about these things, it makes me super happy. Okay. And it's like pumps up my energy when I'm thinking about it, and I get really happy about it. So that's when you put the thought in. You following me?
Yeah. Sorry, I caught a question at the corner of my eye.
No, that's okay. You pump it up, you get that energy going, and then you throw the thought in.
Right.
Or you can use music. For instance, you can play the happy song. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you put the thought in. Now, I suggest writing because it's action.
Yeah.
Okay? So because it's a way of putting the action and the intent and the subconscious reaction, because there's two different types of manifesting. You've got subconscious manifestation, and then you've got energetic manifestation.
Right.
So subconscious manifestation is if you tell yourself something enough, you'll automatically sort of like find yourself in a position and react to it because of the way you think.
Yeah.
Okay. And energetic manifestation is by using energy to make it happen. So you can kind of use both of them as a tool to, if you're writing, it kind of works on both ends. So that's why I like using that. So, and then if you say something enough times to yourself, you eventually start to believe it. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's why I have people write it. And that's another reason why I have them write it, is try to put some emotion behind it. Try to think about when you're writing to sit there and think positive thoughts, sit there and listen to that song or think of something happy, and then take that emotion and transfer it into what you're writing and try to imagine it and that you're super grateful. And I have them use words like, I'm so grateful, or I love that I have this and I'm so happy about it and it makes me feel so good. And I use emotional words. I actually write the script out together, and as we're working on this manifestation, we'll literally write it out. I'll have them read it back to me, and I'll say, okay, change that word to this word. And then that's how we do it, basically, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. What about, like, say if it was love? Because a lot of people, a relationship, I'd say, rather than love, say a lot of people.
But love is a very interesting thing, okay? Because most of the time we don't even know what we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so like when I was first starting my business, I was working all the time, and so I would end up, I was thinking I wanted somebody that was very attentive and loving and kind and all these things, and I would manifest these guys that were super needy, and then they would get really upset with me because I didn't have the time to devote to them, and then that would just annoy me because I was like, look, I'm trying to build a business here. I mean, I was dating a guy that was an acupuncturist for a while. He was just an awesome guy. I mean, he really was. And but he got his panties in a wad because he wanted to, I thought it was great because he lived out of town and he would come in and do, because he had an office in Houston. So he would come in on Fridays, and I was like, all right, once a week, that's good for me, and he wanted to like stay the whole weekend and, and like spend the whole weekend with me. And I was like, I've got plans. I have to do this and I have to do this and I have this work. And he's like, you're not devoted to this relationship. And I found that those kind of things were happening to me because I was asking for something that I really wasn't prepared to do.
Yeah.
And so once I realized that, I decided, all right, well, I need somebody who's not going to be so needy. And so I ended up manifesting guys that traveled a lot. and they weren't there for me when I needed them.
But the extreme, the other way.
Yeah, exactly. So love is kind of a different thing, because a lot of times we don't know what we really want. When I basically finally decided that I gave up everything that I wanted Like, because I was like, okay, I want him to be tall, and
Mm.
I want him to be younger than me, and I want him to be energetic, and I want him to be successful, and I want him to be good looking, and want him to be like spiritual, and and I finally just said, I just want a best friend to do yoga with.
Oh, cool.
And I finally like just said that one day, and I meant it. Like, it was really in the deepest part of my heart, and I just kind of belted it out, and I ended up meeting Shane. And one of the first things I told him I wanted to do was I needed to go to yoga, and he goes, well, he goes, teach me how to do yoga and let's do it together. And I was like,
Awesome.
Yoga with me. Ah! And
So he wasn't even practicing yoga, but he was prepared to go and learn, and that's cool.
Yeah, we used to do it in the living room all the time because because he wasn't very like what do you call it?
Flexible.
Yeah. And so like he'd get into a pose and he'd just like fall over,
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it really is when you think about it, And
I think sometimes we can have this, well, I've done it in the past, but not anymore. I've let go of that, of having this list of what, and I know a lot of women do this. I don't know about men, but I know a lot of women do it. They have this list, and I was saying to a client today, because that's what she was asking me about, a certain gentleman. I'm like, a lot of it's more how you feel when you're with that person. Forget about, we really have got to forget about the how can I word it? The surface level stuff. At the end of the day, it's how you feel with that person. Do you feel good when you're around him? Does he treat you well? Because somebody could be super rich, super good looking, and treat you like absolute dirt. So again, it's like,
and that's and I everything that I thought I wanted, I really thought that I wanted out of a guy, ended up showing up in my life right before I met Shane. And he ended up wanting, as we got into the relationship, he wanted to be a polygamist. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Some people it works, but I felt that he was so busy already, and he traveled a lot, and he traveled, of course. And so that I just didn't feel like he had enough time to share. And that wasn't the life that I wanted to live. And I was progressing in my spirituality, and I didn't think that as the spiritualist that I needed to set that kind of example, and it was, and I'm like, again, I'm not against that, and I don't judge him for that. And I have friends that are polygamist, and I don't judge them for that. It's just, it wasn't for me. And I didn't feel like it was going to benefit me and my career, my life, and who I was internally. Like, I didn't want to compete with somebody else's attention, and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be for me.
Yeah. And so and that's actually, he was a friend of Shane's, and I ended up meeting him that way. And so Shane had just broken up with his girlfriend, and I had just broken up with him. And so we sort of started leaning on each other, kind of crying on each other's shoulders. Like, he never told me this, And so, and Shane ended up turning out to be like my best friend. And he was the go-to person that he was up for anything, he would do anything. He was always like fun to hang out with, and anything I suggested, he's like, all right, let's do it, he's still pretty much like that. I mean, there's a few little things that he's like, you tried that, didn't like it, So, but most of the time I can, like today, I told him, I said, I really want to go to find like a park or something, and that has trails, and take the dogs. And he was like, all right, let's do it. He's not, he's pretty open-minded about things. He's not, and that it takes a real special person to be with me, because I like a lot of different things. And my mind is over here one day and over here another. And, I'm jumping and carrying a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm just not a person that you can fit into a box. So, and it works out really good because he's very chameleon-like, you know, like he can alter and shift and change, and that works really good because if I shift, he shifts, and he shifts, I shift, and we just kind of explore the realm of possibilities together, and that works out really good.
Do you mind me asking? I know it's probably irrelevant, but what sun sign is he? I know we're more than our sun sign.
So he's a Cancer.
All right, interesting.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing is that one of my friends has a Cancer. She had a Cancer boyfriend, and she was complaining about it, and she's a Gemini. So Gemini's not a good combination, and
I know. Sorry,
so yeah, and she's very, and she's so always wanting to do things and on the go, and he's a homebody and, you know, that kind of stuff, and needy and wants to do everything with her, and she needs her friends time, you know, like I need my girl time, I need my, you know, that kind of stuff. And so and I was like sitting and watching the things that he needed, and I thought, wow, maybe I should date a Cancer. You know, I would like somebody who wants to do everything with me, because I mean, men I've dated that were like, you know, I'd say, let's go shopping to do this, or let's go do this. Shane's always up for that. I can say, let's go fantasy house shopping, or let's go fantasy. We do furniture shopping. Let's just go hit up with some, you know, I call it fantasy because we may not be in the position to purchase it now, but we're just kind of go and we fantasize about it and decide. And it's kind of part of the whole manifestation thing. Like you're just kind of deciding where, you know, what's that realm? Oh, I like this. I like this. Do you like this? Oh, like, you know. Yeah.
Well, people say that, like, if it's a car that you want that's out of your realm at the moment, go and test drive it. Go and sit in it. Go and imagine you've already got it, you know?
Yeah. And so so
Cancers for me as a Gemini is just, it's a no. It doesn't work.
And you know, there's some plus and minuses to it, because I've got a lot of independence, and that was a little bit of a shift for me too.
Somebody's asking your life path number. Do you mind us sharing it?
Yeah, that's okay. What? Go ahead.
And he's the same life path number as you, actually. Michelle's a life path 8. And I believe Tim's an 8. But it's interesting because we both have the same heart's desire.
Yeah.
So what gets us up in the morning and makes us tick is the same thing, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Yeah. Yeah, she's an 8. So she's, you know, a CEO, a boss, a manager. She gets things done.
I am definitely one of those people that if somebody can't figure out how to do it, I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just get in there and tackle it. Let's just do it. And it's like, nobody can. I'm like, come on, let's do it. Yeah. And I don't think that there's spaces for that type of mentality. You know, you've got to be able to see that you can accomplish things. And I'm always willing to carry people, because that doesn't bother me. And I don't feel like it's a weakness. It's like, to me, I'm just so strong that I can carry you to the finish line. Then you finish and you feel successful. And then you're like, oh, golly, I can do this.
Eights are like that. They are great in a crisis. They, you know, they are strong. Usually when they're on the right side, they're very strong people, men and women. So,
Yeah. So like I have a client that is, was struggling with motivation to, you know, get things done, and new job and the whole 9 yards. And she just kept on putting off this whole resume thing. And I mean, putting it off. And finally she brought in a resume, and I looked at it and I went, oh my God, now I see why this is the problem. You probably just don't even know where to begin. This is too much information. And I just took a big marker and I was like, next this. Nobody gives a shit about this. This is how we're going to do this. We're going to turn this into this. And she's like, we can do that? And I go, yes, we can. And we're going to do it. And then I told her, I said, on your next appointment, get in front of a computer. Call me when you're like that. I sent her a link to Zoom and logged her into a private conference and shared my screen. And I sat there and did her whole resume. And said, okay, what do you think about this? Do you like this color? Do you do this? And I designed it. Like, I made it pretty. you know, and I made it look good, and I made her feel really good about everything, the way I said it, the way I worded it, and everything. And, you know, it's one of those things, like, because I'm a Leo, and because I was in marketing, because I was a graphic artist, because, you know, I have that particular mindset. It's like the combination of all those things. I'm able to just kind of get in there. I know what to do, make it look good. And she was like, she felt, because she put the hours in, 2 hours on my computer, she's not hanging up until this is done. And there wasn't no like, stop, we're doing this, you're logged on until this whole thing's done. And when it was done, it made her so motivated that she went home and she redid her whole apartment. She cleaned it, she reorganized it. I mean, like, she got on that path of, I can do it. And she said that what she learned from this was, if you just get in there and do it, that it's like, there's a sense of freedom that comes from that, you know? It's like it's like that weight's been kind of taken off of you.
Yeah, it's like when you declutter your home or tidily, you know, completely blitz it, you just feel so good after, and it feels good, and the energy feels good, and doesn't it? I'm big on decluttering.
You know, I had somebody ask me, I was on this other lady's show one day, and her name is Kim, and I don't think you know her, but she's more in the marketing industry, and she brought me on because she sends me a lot of clients. She was a client of mine, and she sends me a lot of clients, and she's like, Michelle helped me. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And so she's like, so she brought me on, and we were talking about my book, and we were talking about it from a different angle, more from, you know, clearing your mind and making things happen, being successful, and all that kind of stuff. And she said, what is the one thing that you know, if anybody needs to start somewhere, what would you say start with? And I said, clean your house.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, physically clean your house. Then when you clean your house, then clean your house internally, like emotionally, and then go out and clean your house, like all the people around you, you know. So just start cleaning your house. But I would start with clean your house, like make your bed every morning, you know, do the things that makes you feel good, because when you come home, you want to come home to a house that's, you know, it feels good when you jump into a made bed, or you walk into a house and that, you know, the house is clean, and the kitchen, you don't have dirty dishes everywhere, and, you know, you just feel good, and you feel more motivated to get things done, because you don't feel that stress of, oh my God, I've got to clean this and I have to do that, and everything just becomes overwhelming. And that in the home is where you got to start.
I don't know about you, but other people, when I look at, say, if the pots need washing, because where we are at the moment, we don't have a dishwasher. We've had a dishwasher for years, but we don't have one at the moment. If I see dirty pots that need washing, I can instantly feel it draining my energy. I could just feel my vibe going down. Now, some people want, but to me, it's just,
I'm like that too.
It drains me, and I'm like, oh, I can't leave. And it's not that I don't mind if it doesn't get done straight away, but if I keep going in the kitchen and seeing that, I can feel.
And that's a really big thing, even with manifesting, you know, it's because you've got to have, that's why I work with people for about 4 to 6 weeks before we even get into manifesting, because we got to get all the stuff in your life lined up, to get all the negativity and all the stuff you're overwhelmed about, and all the issues and the problems and the lack of motivation and the emotional issues in your past and all that stuff. Like, because how can you have emotion about something that you want when you're having too much emotion about everything you don't like?
I'm trying to teach this to my 19-year-old son at the moment about clutter and keeping things clean. Because I'm trying to teach him the importance of it and how he will have a better life and manifest things quicker. And we totally blitzed the apartment with it. And then he applied for about 40 jobs. And then, because it's just a part-time because he's studying. And then boom, in comes two interviews, and he got the job. And we'd not long just totally blitzed everything. And he joined in and did it. You know, it wasn't me doing it.
So I think when you're manifesting, you've got to kind of feel like like the energy that you're focusing on needs to be about what you're manifesting. It doesn't need to be about the stresses that you're creating on a daily basis that are in your life, and you're creating them because you're focused on them, because you're thinking about them, because it's like, so you really need to spend a good month on clearing your life and your mind. And the best way to do that is reframe your thoughts. And if you don't know how to do that, contact me. I do what do you call it? Like Skype, FaceTime, phone calls, whatever. So I do all that. And it doesn't matter where you're at. It's, I work with people all over the world. So
that's the beauty of Zoom and Skype and things now. We can have clients all over the world.
Mm-hmm. And so, so that's basically, if you don't know how to do it, then, that's what I do. And I mean, because I'm really good at listening to what people say and catching and saying, stop, don't use that word, use this. Don't ever say that word again. This word's out of your dictionary from now on. Don't ever say that.
What would you say are some of the worst words that people can use?
I can't. So, no, not I can't.
Oh, sorry. I thought you can't say them.
It's a secret? No,
I thought you meant meaning like, I can't say it because if I say them, then I'm going to, then you'd have negativity. No,
no. Saying the
I
word.
can't, yeah.
I can't. If you say the word, I can't. So usually when people tell me that they can't do something, I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. And I'll play this little game with you, okay? So just pretend like you're a really heavy girl that needs to lose weight, okay? And say, I can't lose weight.
Mm.
Say it.
I can't lose weight.
Okay.
I've been saying it.
All right. Okay. So then now I'm going to say, okay, so here's what I want you to do, Trisha. I want you to say, I want you to replace I can't with I choose not to.
I choose not to lose weight.
Why? See, it makes you think.
Yeah. And
because you're like, because there are no can'ts, okay? So
because I can't answer that now. I can't say why.
Well, that's because you don't need to lose weight. But if we use something else, I was trying to say, something that,
the relationship one. That's one that you get.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, let's do that one.
Lay myself bare here.
Okay, tell me something you can't do.
I can't seem to meet the right guy, I guess.
Okay, so.
Oh, I can't seem to attract a man that is single and available. He's married.
Not married. Okay, so let's do that. So we're gonna have to tap it now. See, you being spiritual and aware and all this other stuff, you're gonna have to kind of tap into your subconscious a little bit because it's a little deeper for you. Okay. So now say I choose not to.
I choose not to attract a man that's available and single. And
why?
wants to be with me.
Why?
I'm laying myself down. I guess I don't believe. Oh, I'm getting hot. I don't believe that there's a man out there that's faithful and wants to stay with me like 100% and be kind to me.
So there's the problem. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So then now we understand what the problem is, then we reframe it. Okay. So why would you think, so then I would just kind of dive into that question. Like, do you think that you're unworthy of somebody being faithful to you? Or do you think that just men are unfaithful in general? Like, where is that belief system coming from?
Because I have so many, and it's not me saying, I have so many men that are married or in relationships message me, trying to hit on me. And and it's got a lot worse. And I sit there thinking, I'd never want to be that woman that has no idea what her husband's doing.
Well, just to kind of sidestep for a second, I get that a lot too. And I even tell them when they message me that I go, look, I'm married. And then they'll say, well, so am I.
Yeah.
I think that when you're in the public eye, that happens a lot. So, but what if you were to step outside of the public eye and forget about the people that are messaging you and forget about those people? Like, what about the people in your community and the people that you live around? And is that the kind of people that you're meeting as well?
No, not, I'm attracting them, but how can I word this?
So there's a reason why you're attracting it, okay?
Yeah, and that's why
there's something that's in you that you don't want a real strong commitment. Like, and it's probably because I think you told me you're divorced, or you know, a lot of times when you're divorced, I know with me, it took a lot of self-work for me to get to a point. I had to get very self-aware with myself because I was going through the same thing you're going through. Is I really didn't want to remarry. I really didn't want to get into another relationship because I had I had a really bad experience with marriage and my ideas of what marriage looked like, and everybody that I knew that was married. And I was just like, this is not what I want. So I was internally doing that. So I would find myself attracted to or manifesting men that were not really available.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I guess I, like you were saying about needy man, I need someone want someone, not need someone, who is pretty independent themselves as well.
So that's the part that you need to work on, because in a relationship, it should be a union, and you've got to get past the part about it being needy. That you need to probably start working on framing those thoughts into, I want somebody that's like a best friend that I can be around, that I can do everything with, because I know that that's probably what you really want deep inside, but it's like there's a layer that's stopping you, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't like needy because they try to stop you from doing the things you want to do, or they don't believe in the things you do, or they think it's silly, or they think it's dumb, or they think it's a waste of time, or they want to control you, or so.
I'll tell you what it is. It's like when the guys that are needy then go looking for the women instead of having their own thing, because they've got interests or something that they're passionate about. Instead of going and doing that, they go and look for another woman or a woman's attention.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and that was hard for me because I was kind of in the same mindset as you, and so I had to really work on that, because I had to tell myself that I really did want this, so you're going to have to figure out a way to reframe it to where you're saying something that's really true to your heart instead of saying things out of reaction to what you're seeing, because you can manifest somebody. I mean, like, I never thought I would manifest somebody like him, you know? I mean, he makes me laugh a lot. He's the goofiest person I've ever met in my entire life. He's also very odd and very strange, and, you know,
I believe it's out there, because I do see people that are really happy and are genuinely into each other. I know it's out there, but I must admit, I've obviously still got some work to do, but I'm aware of it.
It was not easy for me, because he wanted, and I didn't understand, because he has cancer, and I didn't understand his need to feel like he had to stay in constant communication with me. It wasn't that he was needy, it's just his personality. And so he would text me all day long, and he would tell me what he was doing. Like, I just cleaned the house, or I cleaned my car, or I went and did some shopping and bought groceries. And I'm like, okay. And I made a joke and said, okay, thank you for the Twitter updates. It's just like, what? You know, and it was a difficult transition for me, because I was kind of in that same mind space as you. It's like, just do your shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
but other people love that. They love to be constantly updated, and I guess that's the difference.
Well, I didn't know what to say, because it's like, I'm sitting here going, well, I'm going to my next client. Okay, next hour, I'm going to my next client. I mean, it's the same. Going to my next client, going to my next client. I mean, it's like a robot, you know? Yeah. And so I found a compromise in there, and I had to look for a compromise. So he would say something and I'd send him an emoji, and he liked it. So I now I'm creatively looking for goofy emojis that like, and I go, oh, okay. You know, I'll like a poop emoji or an alien emoji or something, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and then it makes me laugh because he'll send me a couple of them, or he'll try to talk to me in emoji language. Like he'll do a whole sentence, and then I'm laughing because, you know, then it made me laugh. So, but it was he's not needy, because he's very self-sufficient, and he does things on his own, and he doesn't need my help to do anything. Okay. It's just that he's attentive. And I didn't know what that felt like, and I didn't understand it because I had never had that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, so when you kind of realize that, and, you know, I started to think about the benefits of that. An attentive man is good. You know, it's not needy. It's good, you know, for him to be attentive is good. And it's good because he's keeping his attention on me. Would I rather him not text me all day, and I'm like, well, I haven't heard from you. What are you doing? You know, and you're questioning, and then he's off having an affair, you know? And so I processed that and thought, okay, it's better that he's attentive. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think that with you, it really isn't that that's not what you want. You're choosing this, and you're attracting people like that because of what you don't want. But I think what you don't want is really what you want. You're just interpreting it. Change your perception about it.
Yeah.
And then when you change your perception about it, write it in that way. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, instead of saying needy, say, I love the fact, and, you know, just say something like as if it's already there. I love the fact that I have a man in my life that is committed, honest, loyal, and very attentive. And I love that he's attentive and that he's self-sufficient.
Yeah.
You know, and you can kind of like throw those things in there like that, and kind of so that you're kind of covering your bases. Do you see how, like, by kind of breaking it down like that, you can kind of eliminate where the problem was and then conquer the problem?
Yeah, definitely.
So I didn't mean to put you on the.
No, it's okay. I was going hot.
That's why I was like, just say you're fat. That's easy, you know. It is like, you know, what would a fat person say, you know?
I'll be honest, that was the thing that, you know, I think in the past, I've, and it's been more since I went self-employed, interestingly.
Same here. It was the same way with me too.
Since I went self-employed, it's been a different, I'm trying to word it carefully. I've not managed to attract a man that, in the past, that fits that. I thought I had, but then
you know what? When you're trying to figure this out, when you're working it out within yourself, don't worry about how you're wording it. Okay.
Yeah.
Get it all out, because you want to get your truth out first. And then once you get your truth out, then you need to analyze it and say, okay, is my truth really my truth, or am I just telling myself this?
Yeah.
Is it really true? I mean, because like the internet world is a very complex world. Okay. And this is something I've kind of learned, is you're going to get a lot of, like, I have a lot of stalkers. I have a lot of fans. I have a lot of love interest, you know. You know, it's, I keep on saying that Facebook is going to put a limit to me blocking people, you know.
My block list, is as long as my friends list. I think.
No, I hear you. I'm in the same boat, man. I mean, you know, I get naked pictures sent to me. I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah. So it's like, oh man, you know, so, but, you know, and I ask people to be respectful, you know, like, be respectful. And I always say, be respectful to my husband, you know.
Yeah.
That's not respectful to him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that doesn't usually work, because usually if I have to ask somebody to be respectful, they don't understand what that means. So that usually means that they're going to get blocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, most of those people are con artists anyway. They're usually like catfish people, and they're trying to provoke a love interest or emotional need that you're not. That's why they don't care if you're married or if you're this or whatever, blah, 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 because they're trying to, put you into a category that they can, and then like, hey, if I fulfill these particular needs, if I go straight to the love heart thing and say something that, oh, this, I haven't been able to find this, and now you're saying this, and oh, you really do love me, and you go there, and then next thing you know, they have a catastrophe and they need money, and
I've even said to some of them, just to test it, like, I'm married, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter. And then one time this guy said to me recently, this was so funny, he says, where are you from? And I said, Mars. And he was like, what? And he was like, and then it didn't carry on for long, and then he got nasty when he realized that I was just taking and I just instantly blocked him. But it was just interesting how, like, and he said, where's Mars, or something silly like that. It was just so funny.
Oh, it's so funny. I know.
Nasty when he realized I was playing him, so I just blocked him. But it was funny.
Well, I wouldn't put your eggs into the basket of the internet. So you just need to get around real people, and then just be more social, get out there, have fun, and be around real people. And when you get around those real people, you'll start to I had a rule when I was dating, especially if it was an interest of mine, that they had to be my friend first.
Yeah, that's a really important one for me, is I want them to be like my best friend.
Yeah, so I put Shane in friend category right off the bat.
I bet you love that.
I told him, I'm not interested in dating you, so just get
no
that.
Guy wants to be put in the friend zone.
Yeah, you're just like, he's like, whoa. And he goes, I don't know if I should be offended or if I should be thankful. And I go, well, why would you be thankful? And I was like, because then I got offended, I was like, what? And he goes, well, it's like a breath of fresh air, because I have all these women hitting on me all the time. And I was like, okay, well, good, because I'm not going to hit on you. I'll just be your very best friend. And I said, because I'm a good friend, and I need friends in my life that I can trust, and you're a good person, so we can make this friendship happen. And I like being friends with guys because, especially if you meet a good one, they're loyal. They're very, very loyal.
I found that actually about men recently with some things that found me. The men have been the most loyal. Not all, there's been females, but the men have been the most loyal to me.
Yeah, and then when I find that, and I have friends in my life that I've had for years that originally were prospects, but as I got to be friends with them, I realized that I discovered things about them that there's no way I would ever, no. And so they stayed as friends. And there's so many parts of me that said, God, I'm so glad I never dated him. Because if I would have just did what most women do, you go on a couple of dates, you make him take you out somewhere really nice, and then after the third date, you have sex with him. And then, and it's like, I just didn't do that because I did that for years and it didn't work. So, if something doesn't work, then you got to stop it.
You become emotionally attached too quickly then, and then you sort of rose-colored glasses on to what could be unhealthy.
Then you're willing to accept the things you wouldn't have, and then you complain about it and you get upset, and this is the downhill stream. But if you can actually be friends with them long enough to actually see the person that they really are, and their guards come down, and you see their lifestyle, you see how they are, and then you can determine whether or not that's a person that you want to involve yourself in.
Yeah, I agree. That's my theory.
So like with him, he him being my friend, it was difficult. With I started noticing that he would get his panties in a wad, and like he would get his panties in a wad when he's like, here we are having this whole conversation, and then you just drop off, you disappear. It's like you're just gone. And I'm like, what conversation were we having? Because I thought we ended it. I thought, all right, this conversation's over. Okay, good night. And he didn't understand that way that I was, because I get busy, I'm sitting here, I can text you for, nonstop if I'm free. The second that, somebody walks in the door, or I show up over at my parents' house or something like that, the phone goes in my purse and that's it. Hours will pass. It's like, I was at the lake, I'm not taking my phone into the water, and so it took him a little while to adjust to that. And we made a compromise, and that compromise was just tell me, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow and that'll be good enough. And I was like, all right. So that's kind of the rule of thumb that we have right now, because I get up really early in the morning and I have a lot to do before I go to work. And he usually leaves before I do. So a lot of times he wants to have a conversation with me, he wants to talk to me, and like, and I don't have to be at work till 10 o'clock. So I'm usually up early, working on things before I go to work. And so he thinks, oh, well, you're up. Ring, ring, I'm like, all right. So instead of ignoring him or, or just not responding or anything like that, I just go, I'll call you when I get in my car on my way to work. And then that's a compromise for him, because he knows that I'm setting some time out to call and talk to him.
Yeah. I think even because you are married, you said your husband. I think even when you're married, you need to keep some sort of, like, not be too available still, even when you're married. Because I think that's when a lot of ladies get taken, they stop doing things for themselves and doing their own thing. And that's when men do sort of lose interest.
They lose themselves, okay? And this is a whole nother conversation. I mean, like, I've actually even thought about writing a book about this, because women change so much in a relationship, and the guys change one time. Okay. They put on their very best behavior. They'll make their hair look perfect. They wear the nicest clothes. They will take you nice places, buy you flowers, whatever. That goes on for a short period of time. Okay. When they've decided to lock it in, then they invite you over for pizza. You watch a movie, you have sex, you go to bed. It's like, but their personality doesn't change. Everything that they like doesn't change. They just stop doing all the extra things.
Yeah. The effort.
Right. Exactly. And so with women, it's a whole different thing. Women actually completely change. Like, when you're first dating a guy, you'll like go to a football game with him when you hate football. You'll go hang out with his friends at a bar when you hate bars, you hate sports bars. You'll play pool with him when you hate pool. You wear a jersey just because he told you to wear it. You'll go hang out with his friends even though you hate his friends. You're like, you'll watch a scary movie even though you hate scary movies. You'll watch an action movie when you hate that. It's like you're just putting on a big smile, like, yeah, I like all that, And then as soon as you catch him, and usually women can play that game for a while, okay? And then, boom, you marry him. And it's like, well, I don't have to do that. I'm not going over your friends because I don't like Joe. He's a total love. Okay? Not doing it.
Yeah,
my house.
I might have been a bit like that when I was younger, but if I don't like something, I wouldn't do it. I won't go to that football match if I don't like football.
A lot of women still do that. A lot of women still do. But they will, everything changes. Like the second, like I remember when my mom's she got married in her late 60s, early 70s for the second time. And she was very, what do you call it? Like she did a lot of things that he wanted to do. and didn't say a whole lot. And she was very concerned about several things, but I told her that when she got married that she could just, that it will all work out, just stop worrying about it. Well, the second she got married, she bought the house. She had him sell the house that he had. She bought a house that she liked, and she got rid of all of his furniture and bought furniture she liked, and down to the damn coffee pot that he had. He had a coffee pot that was like that funky lime green color, right? I don't know if you're from the 1950s.
Okay, yeah.
He said, why would I get rid of it? It works. Yeah. Because it's ugly, she said. It's ugly and it doesn't match my kitchen. And so, it's just funny, women do that. Now, my mom's more decorative type stuff, but most women, they just aren't willing to do the things that, it's like you're willing to have sex with him often. And then you get married, you just like, well, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. There's a lot of changes that happen with women. And if women need advice on relationships, the best advice I can say is act like you did when you were dating.
Yes, exactly.
And if you do that, then you'll have a much better relationship. You're calling more, texting more, spend more time with him, sending dirty pictures, do that. Make a video.
The guys will be all grinning now. He said that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I did see a comment earlier about Ian said, well, Heathen Breathing 5, it's called Ian. I think he said something about, have you ever, unless he wants to retype it, I think it was about manifesting what you thought was the impossible. I think that's what he said.
Okay, I don't really understand the question. What do you think it means?
Well, I don't know whether he was meaning like, did you manage to manifest something that you might have originally thought was really way out of your depth? I think it was. And now he's saying manifested a paranormal type thing, but that's not what he said. I think he said something earlier about, have you manifested something that you thought was impossible to manifest? I think that's what he said.
I have manifested things that I thought was impossible, but I had to get outside of the mind that it's impossible.
Yeah, first, yeah.
And so the old me would have thought it was impossible, but this person doesn't see anything as impossible anymore.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing. Yeah, you're in that mindset of, anything's possible, whereas a lot of people are still like, yeah, well, I can't afford that car, so what's the point of dreaming about having, whatever it is, dream car you want or house, whatever it is.
So I talk about this a lot about buying a new car, because this was a big deal for me. Okay. It really was. I mean, I didn't have a car payment for a really long time, and everybody was giving me a hard time about it, saying that I needed to get a new car. People would say, oh, you're too pretty to be driving around a junker, and I'm like, and it really annoyed me. And I think the more that people said something to me, the more I wanted to hold on to it. And I wanted to hold on to it because I wanted to prove to people that there was no reason for me to go buy something just because it made everybody else feel better, So it was like, well, it makes me feel better about you. You're a better life coach because you have a nicer car. That makes you look more successful. That makes you, it's like, whatever. And I just thought it was just very materialistic and very stupid, because I didn't want the car payment. But I had a series of events that happened, and one of the things that kind of tipped me over, and Shane ended up having a conversation with me about it, to deciding or getting me into the mindset of buying a new car, was that I got pulled over by a police officer for impeding the speed. What that means is that I sat at the light 2 seconds too long after the light turned green.
Wow.
He said I waited too long. So he thought I was on drugs and so, or something. And it was late at night because Shane was working a late job and he forgot his food. So I went and picked up some food and brought it to him. And so it was kind of late, and I ended up hanging out with him for a little while. So I got home and it was fairly late, and I'm driving a junker. Okay. And impeding the speed. So I waited too long at a light, and it's the middle of the night, and so the cop, pulls me over, and he was bound and determined to find drugs in my car. I mean, he was absolutely bound and determined to find it. Like, it pissed him off that he couldn't find it. He called other cops. There was all these cops around me. I mean, it was crazy. Like, he was making me nervous because of the way he was drilling me and the question he was asking. And I was already having anxiety because I'd just gotten off the freeway, and this 18-wheeler decides that he wasn't going to pay attention, and he almost hit me. He almost like sideswiped me, and the railing was right there, so I could have been like pancaked, And so my heart was kind of racing a little bit. I sent a text, so I was texting and driving, which is why I impeding the speed. So I sent a text message to Shane telling him I almost died. And he's like, what happened? And I go, 18-wheeler almost ran me off the road. And woo, police officer pulls me over. So he asked me what was going on. I told him an 18-wheeler did this, da-da-da. Where? And I said, on the freeway. I just told you. I was still dealing with the aftershock. And so apparently I was talking too slow, which doesn't happen very often with me. So, and he was making me nervous by questioning me. And he took a flashlight and he was shoving it in my face, and it was hurting my eyes. And I was like, sir, you're hurting my eyes and it's making me lose my concentration. Well, stop thinking about the flashlight, and he's yelling at me. And all it was doing was causing my brain to go, And long story short, he ends up tricking me into telling him it was okay to search my car. So, because he kept on asking me in such a way that finally I said, I don't care if you search my car or not. You're not going to find anything. Oh, well, I just gave him permission. So he made me sit on the side of the car. He tore up my car looking for stuff, Then he opens up my trunk. Before he did, he asked me if he was going to find a dead body. I mean, and he was serious.
Wow.
So after this, I was very traumatized. I was very upset. I called Shane up. I was crying my eyes out. I felt like I had just been raped. And I was, very upset. And Shane said, Michelle, you just got profiled. And I was like, but why? I don't understand. He's like, you're driving around a junker, Michelle. It makes you look like a specific type of person.
Yeah.
You into a category. And he goes, you need to get a new car. And I go, but I don't want a new car. And, and I didn't want the car payment. And so that was, it was kind of a turning point for me. So I had to, when I finally decided that I was going to do this, I said, all right, I'll buy a new car. And I said, I guess I do need a new car. And then I kind of started thinking about it, and I started going, well, what kind of car do I want? And I started putting my mind into it before I knew it, and manifesting a situation that caused me to have to get a new car.
Yeah.
Somebody hit me, and I ended up having to get a new car. So.
Oh, they hit you?
Yeah. So it was like a month or so later, because Shane and I started talking about it, and and the thing is because my energy is so high, that if I put a lot of emotion on something, emotion is like, it's like hitting turbo boost. Okay. And I started getting excited about it. I started thinking about it. I started thinking, well, okay, and Shane started saying, I'm going to help you here. We're not alone. Okay. It's not like you're doing this by yourself, And he goes, we're in this together. I'm fixing to get this different job, and my income's increasing. We're going to be able to do this. And I was like, okay, well, let's look at some cars. What kind of car should I get? And I'm looking, and boom, the universe puts a situation where I had to do it. I didn't have a choice. So, I have to be really careful about what I think and what I put energy into, because I have such high intensity energy that when I think about something and I visualize it, my visualization is so powerful, my thoughts are so powerful, my beliefs are so powerful. When I shift it like that and I moved into that belief, all right, I'm doing this, boom, it just shows up.
I guess you've got to be careful of your thoughts not going negative, because you could probably manifest that pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really have to be careful of that. But I don't really have a whole lot of problems with that.
Yeah.
I can be reactive. Okay. Like I was reactive to that situation because I felt like I was, I mean, it's like, why do I look like a criminal? Like, do I look like a druggie? And my friends go, Michelle, you look like a hippie. You do look like a druggie. And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, sadly, like some vehicles do give that. Same in the UK, and I'm sure it's everywhere, like a certain type of vehicle. It doesn't matter if you're the cleanest person in the world, they'll think you're, maybe doing drugs or you're a criminal. A certain type of car,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get that here. I mean, we've been like 2 hours, and I don't know how much time you've got, because that's flown by. So you have some questions just quickly, because obviously I don't want to keep you too long.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm good. I know you're up late, so
okay.
Just go ahead, ask away. Whenever you're ready to cut it off, I'm fine.
Just I saw Tim made a comment as well about was it negative? Negative things are easy to attract. Yeah, but it's just because you're thinking negative. Mm-hmm. It gets the whole mindset thing, doesn't it? He could manifest probably positive things quickly if his mindset was different.
Yeah, you have to change. You have to like reprogram. And that's why I always go through the whole reprogramming your mind first. You've got to get the negative thoughts out. You've got to train your brain. And literally it's training your brain because it's not easy. Okay. You got to train your brain how to get those negative thoughts out, where like, I just don't let those thoughts come in my head. And if they do, I'm constantly like shifting them, but I just don't. I've trained my brain so much that I don't really have that problem. But a lot of people do. So you have to work on that. And the best way to do it is to reframe it, acknowledge it first, figure out where it's coming from, figure out if it's a lie, figure out why you're doing this, then tell yourself the truth, and then start writing. Like people say, I'm not worthy of love or something like that. I guess something's wrong with me. I'm not worthy of it. So that's not true. So you just start saying I'm worthy of love.
The worthy one's a big one.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge one.
I mean, not for me, but I feel worthy of a lot of things, but I've heard so many people think they're really not worthy, especially doing what I do. A lot of people think they're not worthy of being paid for what they do. And I'm totally not in that category because, but you hear that a lot, especially in the spiritual world. Like,
so I always get cracked up when people try to work deals with me. They're like, and I'm like, these are the prices. It's on it's not on my website. I'm pretty reasonable. So it's not like I'm overcharging here, so this is it.
Yeah. So if anybody's got any questions for Michelle about anything that she talks about, then fire away. Just have to wait because there's a little bit of a delay. But yeah, I've had a few people that have tried to get free readings from me, and then they'll say, "Oh, I can't afford it. I'm a pensioner, blah blah," and then said, "Oh, but I'm on holiday in Fuerteventura, which is I think that's in Canary Islands or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, so you're on holiday while I'm sat at home and you want a free reading?" It just shocks me at people's cheek,
That cracks me up.
You're on holiday. I'm not even in a position at this point when it was a while ago. I'm not on holiday, but you are, and you are free reading because you're broke.
Why would somebody even ask for that? That's hilarious. That's funny.
It blows my mind sometimes.
Well, I usually tell people, I'm like, okay, I believe in energy exchange.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, I'm always willing to like put out energy towards people, and I believe that if there are certain things that I know that people, everybody has their thing, they can throw something back at you and give you, something in return. It doesn't have to be a money exchange.
Yeah. Sometimes I do exchanges, but I'm quite picky. But yeah, I will do it sometimes with some people.
But sometimes it can be something super, simple. I mean, it's what the person puts meaning into,
Yeah.
So,
well, Lauren's got a question for you. How do you reframe negative thoughts?
Okay. So kind of like, I don't know how long Lauren's been on, because because we were talking about it earlier. If you might want to replay the video.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll give you some more help, but I was working with Trisha here, and I was showing her how to tap into where those thoughts come from. So what you want to do is you first want to address the thought, okay? And you want to ask yourself if it's the truth. So a lot of times you can say, I'm choosing to believe. So for instance, let's say the negative thought is, I believe I'm unworthy. Okay. So you can say, I'm choosing to believe that I'm unworthy. And then you ask yourself why. And then, that's one way of doing it. The other thing is to use logic and to say, are you the only person in this, does a criminal deserve to have love in their life? And most people will say yes. Okay. Well, then why is it that the worst criminal on the earth deserves to have love, but you don't? Are you the only, what makes you so special? Why are you so special that you don't deserve love? What did you do that's worse than the worst criminal on this earth? What'd you do to piss off the gods? And most of them just laugh and they think, okay, I get it. And I go, so you are worthy of love. So that was a lie. It's just a story that you're telling yourself. So once you identify that it's a lie, then you go and you say to yourself what the truth is. The truth is, I am worthy of love. And then when you're reframing it, you're saying, I am worthy of love. If you want, you can download my book. It's, you can email me. I can give you a link, or you can go to youcanbeawesomebook.com and
is it on your website that I put in?
I think it's on the front page of my website. I just changed it recently, so I'm not really sure if it's there. But if they just send me an email, it's Michelle, Michelle 66 Thompson @gmail.com. And if you do that, I can just send you a link. If you download the book, it's $14.99. It's an ebook. It teaches you how to reframe. I mean, there's like step by step teaching you how to do it. And, $15 of your life isn't going to hurt you to figure it out, because you're not really going to learn it within, a short period of time. This is all broken down and it's something you can kind of like refer back to. So it makes it a little easier. Also on that website, if you decide that you want to do like the video stuff, I do like videos where I'm really breaking things down as well. So I think
actually what Ian's just saying, I had this fear of success.
He says what?
He said, have you ever trained anyone who had a fear of success? Well, that was one of my problems. I had a fear of success.
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, believe it or not, I would say about 70% of my male clients, or actually it's probably higher than that. Probably like 80% of my male clients are high-end executives, and that have come to a point in their life and something's happened, and then now they're afraid to recoup. Like I had a guy who was a millionaire and he went through divorce, lost all of his millions, and now he was only making $250,000 a year, and he was really upset about it, So it's but I work with some really, really powerful men and teaching them how to get that power back. And believe it or not, some of the most powerful men have a fear of success.
Yeah, that's a big one. I had a fear of success because I'd had it was jealousy from other people, particularly other women. I got backlash from not men, but other women. And I didn't want to have that because I want to be friendly with other women. But so it was the fear of deep down, the jealousy. So I felt if I was successful and I was shining, It's what's going to come at me that that I don't like. And that was one of my problems, which
so I get that, because I actually went through that myself. I think we all do. And I was afraid that, because it seems like the people that are in the spiritual community that are really successful, like, or even the ones that aren't successful, let's just say the people in the spiritual community have a tendency of being very cultish like mentality. And it's like they'll correct you if you say something the wrong way. Oh, don't say it like, oh, and they'll correct you. Like, like if I don't want this, you got to say, don't say want, don't want, I mean, they'll like literally like stop you in mid sentence and, like you can't even carry on a conversation with them because they're constantly like telling you how to speak. They're quite judgmental. And even with their friends. So it's like hard to connect, with a lot of these people. They're like real weird about certain things. Like a lot of them are vegan and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, you can't just be real.
Yeah.
So I had this thing about like, I have to be perfect to be successul. Like I have to be perfect. Like, me, like everything. I have to give up my Splenda. I'm gonna, it's like, because Splenda is a no in the spiritual community. It's stevia. And so I was like, and so I was really, really like concerned about that and about like the little things that I do that I like, and I finally decided that I was going to, instead of being a follower, I was going to be a leader. And that's how I changed it. So that's how I changed my mindset for success, is instead of being like everybody else, and this is how those people act, I'm going to be different. So I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be real. I'm going to admit that I eat Splenda or put it in my iced tea. Okay. Or my coffee is usually when I drink it. I usually put it in my coffee. So, and, anyway, so I'm going to just be real. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to say like, okay, I had a bad day, or, if this upset me, or, whatever. And so I made a commitment to be raw. And so so I don't, and I'm just going to like take that and bring it up. You know what I mean? Like making that the new standard instead of trying to be so perfect in every walk and every space and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I learned something very interesting on YouTube. People wanting to grow their channels. And there's a guy I watch, and Tyler's Tarot. I really like him. He may not be for everybody.
What's his name?
Tyler's Tarot.
Okay. Is he the You Can Create Your World or something like that channel?
No, it's just Tyler's Tarot. That's his.
Oh, okay.
But he does tarot readings, and he's very good, and he's not been doing that. He will be sat in his car. He'll be sat on his bed. He doesn't have fancy backgrounds. He doesn't have all the candles going. He's virtually at 100,000 subscribers, and I think he joined September 2016. So not even 2 years, and he's at 100,000. And he has none of the fancy. So he cusses like he swears, he cusses, he throws people out, he tells people to go, like, I don't really swear, but people love him. And he is at nearly 100, and it just proved to me now, yeah, I'm not going to necessarily act like him, but it proves you don't have to have the perfect, I like to have my background because I don't like people seeing in my home, but it made me realize I don't have to be perfect with what I say, or I don't have to have fun. It just proves he's very successful. He gets money thrown at him left, right, and center.
Happened. Most of my, I've really worked the whole Facebook thing real hard. Now I'm kind of transferring over to starting to work on the YouTube thing, but on Facebook, I mean, tons of my following there it's like I'm kind of like that. It's like, and they love the raw. I mean, they just do. I mean, they love it if I say a cuss word, they like it if I start crying. If I start crying, they really like that.
I guess if you're too perfect, people can't relate to you when you try to,
I
you're not
know.
relatable when you're too perfect. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, I had somebody, so I just really kind of really like, I just throw it out there. Like I throw it out there. And I found that it just works out so much better for me. And people love it. I mean, they just love it. They eat at it, you know? And it's funny because I had this woman. Okay, so here's the deal. One of my clients is the network marketer, and I helped her become very successful. And the woman's like freaking banging it out because she's teaching other people. Because I told her, I said, stop wasting your time, just start teaching people how to be successful and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I laid out a whole plan for her, and the girl's making like $20,000 a month. Okay.
Yeah.
And so anyways, she's like banging it out. I mean, she's doing great. And she throws my name around a lot. So guess what? All the network marketers friend me. So, but a lot of times they friend me because now, not because Kim recommended me, but because I'm on this person's website and I'm on this person's website. So they just start friending all their friends' friends.
Yeah.
And not because they've heard of me.
Yeah.
So I get this girl and she calls me. I mean, she not calls me. She sends me a video, a recorded voicemail like thingy. You know how they do it on Facebook where you can record your voice?
Yeah, I send a lot of voice notes.
Yeah. So she sends me this thing. I've never met her. I just friended her like within 5 minutes. I saw the thing and, you know, I said, I looked at her site. I said, cool. You know, she's friends with Kim. Cool. Go ahead, click. She sends me a thing that said, hi, Michelle. I just wanted to let you know that I'm praying for you.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, okay, now there's a point in which I can't bite my tongue.
Yeah, I hear you. I have my moments.
Yeah, I know you do. Okay. You had one this week.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so just imagine how you were feeling. Okay, well, that's kind of where I was going with this because it hit a nerve. And so I was like, immediately, I was like, what is she praying for? Is she praying for me to find God or to stop my demonish ways? Or, you know, because I'm teaching spirituality and I'm on the wrong path? What is she praying for? Has she looked at this? Has she done this? Does she know that I channel sometimes? Does she know I'm a medium? Does she know I'm an empath? Does she think I'm a demon? You know, I mean, all these things just like, you know, I mean, it just like, you know, and so it was a trigger for me because I had that whole Bible banging history of stuff for years. So I sent her a really nice text message that said, thank you for your prayers. And I really appreciate it. But I'm a spiritual teacher and I don't necessarily need your prayers. Everything's going good in my life and in my business. And there's lots of people out there that need lots of help. So why don't you put your energy into that? And she responded back that she prays for all her friends, and she's now going to pray for my business.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the way she talks. So it was really cute. And so I was like, I don't want you praying for my business.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
If you watch Jeff's channel, you kind of, you're starting to kind of get an idea of like where my mindset can be with all the who's God and aliens and all this other stuff. It's like, who are they praying to?
And what energy they're putting into your business.
Right. And I don't want that energy into my business. I don't want somebody's energy because you were just talking about energy and thought. Okay. Yeah. I don't want somebody's energy and thought affecting my business. Like, I don't want that. Okay. So if I could eliminate that in some sort of way, I was like, trying to be nice and all this other stuff. But anyway, she kept on and she wasn't getting the message. And I just kept on telling her that there were so many people out in this world, and it sounds to me like she's a good person and that she's got good intentions, but please put her intentions into people that need help. Well, I'm going to be praying for you. And she just keeps on saying that, and so finally I was just like, ah. So I did a YouTube video on it. Not a YouTube, a Facebook video. And I went live and I'm like, I'm frustrated. And so, and I, and it was interesting because my mom's very Christian. She's like, but baby, and she got on and but baby, I pray for you all the time. And I go, but Mama, your prayers are wanted. And their intent is good.
Yeah.
And, you see what I'm saying? I don't know this woman. I don't know where her intent is. And that's energy that she's putting into, So so that was very raw for me. And I let people know, this is
I had somebody about 6 weeks ago said that, and they quite blatantly said to me, I'm not going to name names. They rang me up and said they'd had a dream and my YouTube channel is going to go down the pan and my reputation was going to be in ruins. And I'm like, no, it's not. Don't send that my way. Like, I just blocked them, the energy straight away. I was like, you're not coming at me with that negativity kind of thing. And I just stopped him in the tracks. It's like,
so when those people say things like that, I block them. And that's what I did with her because I didn't need her energy. And I just literally, I was just like, Michelle, because I was really holding back from saying what I wanted to say,
Yeah. Not like me the other day. Anyway, I've learned my lesson.
I was trying real hard, to be nice. And I was really holding back. And so I just finally said to myself, Michelle, this is not worth it. Michelle, this is not worth it. You're putting your energy into something you don't need to be putting your energy into. Just wipe her off. Just block her. It's gone. And that's it. And I don't have an issue with Christians. What I have an issue with is people that are fakers. Okay. And that's what that was about. And that was energy that I didn't like because she's a network marketer. And what she was doing was trying to buy in a friendship and try to create it through her little prayer circle thing. And the second that you're not friends with them in the way that they want, like you don't buy into their product or whatever, they just don't talk to you. Mm. And I've kind of occurred that a few times because I'm like, oh, well, I teach people like you. I train people like you. I make you successful. And they're like, you're not going to buy my product. Okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
I've got network marketing. I've only done it once. And in a good way, I didn't have all the negative stuff about network marketing. So I just went into it and I'm still involved with it, but not in a big way because I'm more focusing. But I see that a lot with people, where I can see it straight away. The friend requesting me because they're in a different company. Boom, they come straight in with the spam message. And I'm like, you don't want to be my friend. You just want to sell me your product. And that is just not the way to do it.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing is I don't have anything against network marketing. Well, like I said, I teach a lot. I go onto her private groups and I teach these women how to be successful in this way. But I just absolutely hate it when they come in and they're like,
it's a brilliant profession.
They're fake friends,
I think it's a brilliant thing to get into. If you get the right company for you, I think it's amazing. It's just doing it in a non-spammy way, I think it was going to get bigger and bigger, actually, network marketing in the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's getting bigger and bigger. But
well, I think a lot of people are going that direction with a lot of different businesses, but I just think that it just kind of boils down to the fact that any kind of business that you have, regardless of it's network marketing or whatever, you can't be fake.
Yeah.
You can't be fake friends with somebody. You can't be pretending. And, if you're going to be friends with somebody, be friends with them. Don't make it a criteria whether or not they're going to be part of your business or not,
Yeah, absolutely.
But the bottom line is that I had to let it go. I couldn't, I expressed my emotions. I said how I said, and then I let it go. I blocked her and then it was done. And that was it. And I was just like, let it go because I can't be holding on to that.
No.
The longer you hold on to stuff like that, it's just.
What I've noticed with stuff like that. And there's this saying, I learned this through network, drama kills checks. And I've noticed whenever I've got sucked into, I have my breaking point and I've got sucked into drama that's come at me, it's affected my business, even if they're not talking about my business. The whole toxic energy starts, affecting my business.
The thing is that here's the answer to that is block them, block them, block them, block them.
Just, and block them straight away. Don't even, the thing for me, I think I've thought about this since we last spoke. I was trying to prove something to that person. I guess that they were wrong. And I thought, I don't need to prove, even if they go out and tell 1,000 people, I've got to stop worrying about that, because I don't need to prove to anybody that I'm a decent person. I know I am, and that's all that matters. And I think that's what I was trying to do.
I think it took me a really long time to get over this whole, excuse me, I'm nose itching. That's trying to prove why I wasn't in the whole Christianity religion thing. And I felt like I was always having to fight that battle with people. And the more I felt that I was having to fight the battle, the more that they came after me, like chasing me with crosses, and like every time I turn around, somebody's like, ah, And so it's when I let it go, when I stopped worrying so much about it. And every so often somebody will sneak in with that shit, and it does kind of like rub me wrong, but I have to catch myself and then go, no. And then just, that's, Michelle, don't put the energy into that. And I just won't hold on to it anymore. There's no way. And this is the thing, is you can't convince somebody. I think Jeff quotes it, like he says, it's easier to convince somebody of a lie than it is to convince them that they've been lied to.
Right.
And so when it comes to stuff like that, it's like, you can't, I just let it go, because I can't, it's an endless battle. I can sit here and literally have a conversation with somebody and say, okay, but the Bible says this, and they'll quote me another scripture, and I go, okay, but tell me what that means. You don't even know what it means. Tell me what it means. And they won't tell me what it means. They give me another scripture. And I'm like, okay, but you still haven't told me what the first scripture means. Do you want me to tell you what it means? Because here's what it means. And I'll take here's the Greek word. This is what that means. Here's the Hebrew word. This is what this means. Now let's break it down. It means this, 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 and this. And then they throw in another scripture. And it's like, you're not hearing me. It's like, it's have deaf ears. They're blind, like, I think Christ said something like, he who has eyes to see, ears to hear, let him hear the truth, And these people, they just have nothing, they're just deaf and they're blind, and, there's nothing you can do. So at that point, you just let them go, and you've got to leave it up to their destiny to be able to find whatever, You can't.
Amanda B said you can't win with people like that. You just can't win, and you just have.
It's just not energy you need to. Like when I was telling you earlier that you need to clean your house, then you can clean yourself internally, and then you got to clean the people around you. Like those are the steps that you need to go through, in this process before you start thinking that you can even be a master manifester. You've got to get your head on right, and it doesn't mean that things aren't going to hit you. It's not going to be, you're not going to have somebody come over and accuse you of doing something you didn't do or saying something you didn't say. Those things will happen. You just got to learn how to address it, say, I'm upset, let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, because your feelings are your feelings. You've got to acknowledge those. And then you go, okay, is this serving me? That's the thing I always do. Is this serving me?
Yeah.
And then most of the time the answer is no. Does it serve me to stay upset? Does it serve me to, sometimes when I start vocalizing my emotions, I'll say, is this serving me? And then I'll go, yes, because I want to get this out. And then I'll go,
it's like, yeah,
and then I'll go, okay, is it serving me to hold on to it? And then the answer is no. And then I'll go, okay, I'm letting it go. And then I have to literally let it go.
Yeah.
No more thoughts towards it, no more energy towards it, no more worrying towards it, no more I have to convince you of something different. You leave it up to somebody of a higher power to do that. And that's their job, not mine.
Mm.
So anyway.
So does anybody have any more questions before we end the live? And I meant to say to you earlier when you said, give me a compliment, I meant to say you look beautiful tonight as well, but I was just like focused. Like, I just realized, well, I realized about 2 hours ago, I didn't even give her a compliment back.
You don't have to give me a compliment back. It's not an expectation.
No, I know it isn't, but that's what I wanted to say. And I didn't even say it. I was like, that was so rude. I thought of myself. No.
You know what? I didn't even give it a second thought. I just, I like people to receive compliments.
Yeah.
So that to
I'm
me,
like,
that feels like a compliment to receive it. So like,
but I was meant to say it and I didn't say it. I was thinking, Trisha, that's like.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So.
Ian would like to know what our favourite colours are.
Why you what?
What your favourite colours are.
Oh, my favorite colors. Interesting questions. Okay. My favorite colors. So as far as clothes, I wear black a lot. Not today. I'm wearing blue.
Yeah. Actually, we're both wearing blue.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. I usually wear black a lot. Mainly because I like the way it looks on me. It just seems to be it looks the best on me for whatever reason. But as far as I go through spells where I like a certain color, and I went through a burgundy stage for a long time, and then I went to a purple stage where I just loved purple.
I have been through that as well.
I mean, it was everything purple. I even wanted to buy purple clothes, and I
did
anything that was purple, and I wanted to buy, and I bought purple pillows to go on my, sofa, and my bathroom had all this purple in it, and then I went through green stage where I wanted a whole green room and green this and green that, and so right now I'm thinking, I'm really kind of liking the passive colors, like soft blues and grays. Like that's, I'm looking at, Shane and I are looking at houses and stuff like that. So I told him, I was like, okay, so I really like this gray that really light gray countertops, that marble looking. I really am digging that. And I like, like the white and the grays and the light blues, sort of soft, like airy kind of colors.
Our lounges, we've gone for the white and grey.
Yeah,
at the moment.
I think that's so beautiful. It's so clean. That's the colors on my website. Do you remember the colors on my website? It's like a light gray and white. And then you throw a little bit of that light blue in there. It just looks so pretty. And I'm kind of in that mode right now. So
yeah. I like red. Not for in the house though. I don't have red, but I like wearing red lipstick. And I often will wear it. Not all the time. Sometimes I wear, but I used to say red didn't suit me, and then I started wearing red and realized it did. So I like red.
I like red too. In fact, it ends up being a fallback on me for some reason. I end up with red stuff.
Yeah, I noticed them in the background. Yeah. Red. I love turquoise. That's probably I think being a Gemini, I like sort of airy colours, turquoise colours, blue, teal.
I like turquoise too.
Yeah.
That's kind of the colors that I'm going to be doing my living room in when we move and stuff like that. So it's like all of those colors. So right now, that's kind of the stage that I'm in. Is more of those grays, whites, gray and white, and blues, light blues, that kind of stuff. Yes, hopefully that answers this question.
Yeah, he says, I like colour theory. That's part of why I asked. Yeah, because I think it says a lot about your personal where you're at that moment, because it changes, doesn't it?
So I think it's a very peaceful, those colors that I picked are very peaceful. They're very clear and clean and peaceful and together and defined and, that kind of stuff. I just think it looks real soothing. And
I don't like too bright. I love red, which is bright, but I don't like bright colors in my home. Not all over, like a pop of color, but not.
Well, like I wouldn't decorate. I wear black a lot, and I wouldn't decorate with black.
No.
I think it's what looks good on you is different than what you end up doing. But I still have a lot of like all these like really rusted, deep colors of stuff that I've had from when I was in that stage. And so this is my office in my house, and so in here it's kind of got the fallback of everything that I don't know where to put. I got these red vases. I don't know what to do with them, so they come in here.
Nice.
Yeah, but I like red in the office because it's fiery and it produces energy.
It's power color, isn't it? In feng shui.
So like in my actual office that I lease, that I work in, not the house office, I've got like a lot of colors, and everything is very the colors are very picked based on color theory and stuff. So I painted the walls green, and then I've got like a few accent walls that are brown, so it creates like soothing earth. But then I've got flashes of a color, like of bright colors, like through pillows and stuff, so it's got kind of a Mediterranean thing and a lot of green moving through it.
Nice.
So it's like comforting, homey, but energizing.
Yeah.
To kind of give you that kind of thing. And I did it for, because you can walk into a room and based on the colors, you feel different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that'd be a good place to wrap it up, because we've been going for 2 hours, and you've been amazing, like I thought you would be. Well, that's why after hearing you on Jeff, I think you were talking about a different subject then, actually, when you were on with Jeff, when I saw him with your daughter.
I've talked about several different subjects, but he likes to get into the anything that has to do with like spirits and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've been on with Joe. He got me doing the numerology of Countess Bathory and what's her name? Is it Abramovich? This was a while ago. Who he thinks is a vampire incarnated or something, and so he got me to do the numerology on them all. So it was interesting.
That's hilarious.
It was good. It's not something I would have thought to do on my own channel, but I enjoyed doing it. It sort of took me out of my comfort zone. So,
well, I kind of feel like it was a good thing, because I haven't really talked about a lot of that stuff in a long time, and it was something I sort of just put in my closet, and it was good. It was sort of it was really kind of self-healing to talk about something that you've sort of like put about over here, because you just don't know like how people are going to respond to all that stuff, And so it was actually quite self-healing, even though I was like, this is not the subject I wanted to talk about. But I did.
Kyle, I'll just ask this one quick. Kyle O. I've not seen Kyle here before, so I don't know if they've come on or they watch, or they're just, do you believe in fate? Serious question.
Oh boy.
I think I do. My immediate answer is yes.
I believe in creating your own destiny.
Yeah, whatever fate is, yeah.
But I do believe that some things are fate. So, okay, so let me try to explain it the way I explain it to people when they ask me this question. I believe we come in here with a map, okay? Now, the map is very cryptic, okay? So there's these points that we have to get to, but the map doesn't put into play that this or this could happen or this could happen. It's just that it's sort of like a map in which we're supposed to stay on. Now, does that mean that we can get off track and not follow that? Yes. I think that there's in this map of things that are supposed to happen in our lifetime. I think that we have what we call like backup plans, or we set in triggers. So like if you get too far off, somebody's going to kind of push you over here. Like if that happens, like you'll run into an old friend that'll end up saying something to you and remind you of where you need to go. And so I kind of think that those little things are there to sort of kind of get you back on track. And so, but I definitely think that a lot of suffering comes from not listening to our intuition, which gets us off the track. And I think that a lot of people do not actually fulfill their destiny. So, and I think that's because they're not listening to their intuition. They're not listening to their spirit. They're not following self. And I think that's why there's so much hate and anger in the world today, is because they're not listening to self. They're trying to listen too much to other people, and then they get mad, and there's too much hate going around because of it. If we just start focusing on ourselves, we'd be a lot better off. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, I believe there's fate. Like, I absolutely believe certain things that I came into this world for, but I also believe that it's within my control that I can do it how I want to. So I can either do it big, or I can do it medium, or I can do it small.
I could just hear this funny noise behind me, and my cat's snoring.
Your cat is snoring?
Yeah. I can't hear that noise. My cat's snoring.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
That. Bless her. Anyway. Oh, somebody else I don't know if you've got time for another question.
That's okay. I'm good.
Do girls believe we are directed by an oversoul or higher self? Girls believe we're directed by an oversoul or higher self.
So what are your thoughts? And I'll tell you what mine are.
For me, it's my higher self. I don't know what they mean by oversoul.
Oversoul is probably like God or something.
Yeah. For me, it's my higher self.
I believe it's my higher self. But I also believe that there was some divine intervention in my life.
Yeah.
So the guy that shows up, the spirit guy or whatever he was, the person that showed up to tell me what I needed to do was kind of like, hey, start moving, girl. This is the direction you're supposed to go. You're not even close. So start heading in this direction. And I think that was divine intervention, like me getting too far off track. There was probably a lot of hints, but I didn't follow them.
Yeah.
Because, for whatever reason. And then of course, I had a lot of ego back then. So I, fought that one for a while. So there was, there was a lot of divine intervention that had to kind of get in front of me and literally block everything to make sure that I didn't ever go this way. And so there was, I wouldn't call it oversoul. I'd say it was gods and beings and those of higher places, whoever they were,
They've said, but I don't know if it's male or female. I think it's male, but I'm not sure. Higher conscious energy is oversoul.
Higher conscious energy. Okay. But oversoul is the same thing as a higher self.
So it said higher conscious energy is oversoul. I've had voice when needed or would have perished, apparently.
Okay, well that's
yeah, I think you're right.
That's higher self. Well, I think that's more like you're probably thinking of kind of guides and stuff like that, where they've literally spoke to you, or it's just those beings. There are beings that are here to help you. You can call them guides or whatever you want to call them, but they're here to help you. And they were here to push me. So it was go this way. We're going to block every entrance until you head the right direction. And yes, I've heard those voices just like she has, do this. I've argued with them a few times, eventually I just decided to listen. And
I heard a voice the other day and it was really strange and it was German. And this male voice just went, no, I'm not going to do it in a German accent. My son wasn't in, nobody was in, and I was at home on my own, and this voice just went 9, in a German accent, which means no. And I was like, hello, I thought somebody had walked in our apartment, and there was nobody here, and that's all I heard. It was so strange, and I haven't heard a voice that sounded outside of myself for a while, actually. That was a bit freaky.
I've had it happen a few times. It's not something that happens often.
No.
But I did have, well, I remember one time, my mom's sister had just passed away, and I heard a voice that yelled really loud, "Your mom needs you right now." And
Yeah.
I was about to pick up the phone, and my mom called me, and she was hysterical. And so I, you know, I don't know why that person said that, because I would have been there for her. I mean, I love her to death, you know, so, but maybe they were just trying to get me to stop what I was doing because they didn't know if she was going to call or whatever. Or maybe they went on her end and say, call Michelle, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I've had it.
sometimes they do try to intervene, you know, because they're like, they're trying to get you to, you know, like some people says we're meat puppets or whatever, and they're trying to get us to do the things that they want us to do, or some of them are more protective about certain ones. Like I know my mom has probably like a whole bunch of them that are like totally loving her and totally protecting her, because she's this amazing person that you just can't help but just love. So she's got to be like favorited. I told her, like, if there's a heaven, you're definitely going to be like getting wings and lots of crowns and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And because she's just that kind of person. I mean, she really is. But so I told her that when she dies, that I was going to have a choir come in and sing When the Saints Come Rolling In.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have a choir at my funeral? I was like, yeah, because you're a saint, man. You're gonna sing. We're not gonna, like, she's like, what she wants us to do is get up on there and cry. And I'm like, no, I'm not crying. We're all gonna celebrate. We're gonna say you've gone to a better place. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the terminology. But I do believe that there are beings up there, and I don't necessarily know exactly how to define them or what role they play, because so many different people say different things. And a lot of that has to do with where our mindset is. And I did a whole show on that. So knowing that there is a higher power or something else that has your back and is helping you kind of move in the direction that you're supposed to go, especially light workers, that's the ones that really get pushed a lot, you know? It's like, we're going to have them. We're going to, you know, if you see something, and especially like you, for instance, okay, because you're a light worker. So if something falls apart in front of you, you cannot like look at it like, why does this keep on happening to me? That kind of shit. That's not, it's falling apart because you're heading in the wrong direction, or they're trying to move you in a different way and they don't know how else to do it. You know, it's like, we've got to crash this wall so you don't go this direction.
Right. Okay.
If you over here, go this way. So, you know, and if you bump into enough crashed walls, eventually you find the right path. And that's kind of like, there's no other way but this way, you know? So it's, and then you notice if you go that direction, everything just opens up for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if you didn't have those walls crashing around you, you probably would have been too fearful to go that way, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So you just have to kind of change your perception about it and realize that those things do. I do believe there is divine intervention that comes in, even though fate may be there or on some level. I think you come in with a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I was slightly stunned to truth that, it's a man. I think he said his name was Steve further back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think leaving my marriage, that was one of them. That's what got me back onto the path, let's say. Because
Me too. I tried really hard in my first marriage to do this path, and it was just too hard. He was very against it, and kept on telling me that he didn't want a wife that saved the world. What he wanted was a wife. And I said, well, then you married the wrong person. And it was just difficult because he just kept on trying to stop everything that I tried to do. So I had to, at some point in time, it wasn't the direction I needed to be in, you know?
Yeah, I didn't even do this when I was married, but he did say to me a few years ago, I said, are you surprised with what I'm doing now? And he said, no, not at all, because I knew you were into all that sort of thing before. It was more of a hobby, you know, just an interest. But he said, but I don't believe in any of it. So I would never have been able to flourish doing it with him, because he just, yeah, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly the same thing for me. So it's a good thing. I mean, you know, and so maybe that was fate.
Yeah, I believe our time came to an end. We were meant to get together. We were meant to have our son. And I believe the time came then when we were no longer supposed to be together. That's how I see it.
I think that I learned a lot from being in that marriage. You know, there was a lot of things that I learned that I probably wouldn't have learned in a different marriage, you know? So I'm grateful for those things. And, you know, I mean, I'm happy that everything ended up working out the way it did.
Yeah.
However, I know it's like, now what is it, like 5 o'clock in the morning for you?
It's 4, so yeah, it's going to be, I think it's time to say goodnight.
You're going to be like the vampire, sleeping during the day, staying up all night.
Yeah, I am a vampire. Yeah. Okay, well, if you just hold on, Michelle, and I'm just going to end the live feed, and then so if you just hold on there. So thank you, everybody. And thank you for Michelle for being here. All the details are in the description. If any of you want to work with her or contact her, check out our website. Her YouTube channel's there, so go and subscribe to her YouTube channel as well. So thank you, everybody. And I want to say good night, God bless, and I'll make sure I don't hit the wrong button.